A groundbreaking film from Africa, now being recognized at festivals around the world. A way of life rarely presented for international audiences. We're in Ethiopia for the premiere of Lam, to meet the man behind it and to visit the land and people it portrays. Welcome to Addis Ababa. Welcome to Inside Africa. We begin in the French Riviera. At one of the most prestigious gatherings of filmmakers and film lovers in the world, the Cannes Film Festival. It's an annual showcase of some of the best in cinema, and of course, a media frenzy. As photographers swarm to get good shots of the brightest stars of our day. Amidst the commotion, an unlikely victory for Yared Zeleke, whose first feature film, Lam, is also the first film from Ethiopia to have won a coveted slot in the official selection at Cannes.
It definitely was such a reward to be recognized on the world's biggest and brightest platform for your work. And it's a dream realized.
Lam tells the story of a young Ethiopian boy, his four-legged best friend, Chuni, and Ephraim's scheme to save the sheep from slaughter.
I wanted to convey a message of connectedness. So while this film is the first Ethiopian and it's unusual to see faces like mine on, or from that part of the world on the big screen in this type of arena, I think ultimately people connected with some of the fundamental themes in the story. The protagonist Ephraim's struggle and fear and love and dream is like yours.
The film is semi-autobiographical. So
months after the excitement of Cannes and almost 5,000 kilometers away, we catch up with Yared in his homeland.
With no money, no budget.
Where tonight his film debuts in Ethiopia at the National Theatre in Addis Ababa.
It's really exciting, but I'm most nervous because this is my home country, and and so how an Ethiopian reacts to this film affects me the most because it's my people and my country, and I hope it will be as well received and people connect with the way people have abroad. And so I'm very, very nervous actually, but also really happy to share this at home.
The crowd fills the theater.
I dedicate this screening to my beautiful and talented cast and crew. Enjoy the fruits of your hard labor, and I love you very much. እወዳችኋለሁ። አመሰግናለሁ።
ከቤት ለመውጣት ገና እድሜ አልደረሰም።
አስማተኛው ተራራ የመጀመሪያ ፊልሜ ነው ስሰራ እና በዚህ ፊልም ላይ ስተውን በጣም ብዙ ነገሮችን ተምሬያለሁ።
መጀመሪያ ስናሳይ ፍራንስ ነበረ ማለት እዛ ብዙም ማለት የኛ ሀገር ሰዎች አላዩትኝም።
Okay, so that was the premiere night, and it seems to be a really good response from people, and I'm just so happy that it's finally premiered in my home country. And also really tired, but so I need a little bit of honey wine edge, so I'm off to the reception.
Before Ephraim, the boy protagonist of Lam, there was a young Yared who grew up in Addis Ababa.
It was a pretty colorful childhood, very, very colorful. My grandmother, Yared Zeleke, that I'm named after, she was really known and revered in my neighborhood for her storytelling. At times, my grandmother would get into her stories and everybody would be completely mesmerized. And I remember sitting beside her just listening. So I think my love of story, in terms of listening and reading and writing, I think it comes from that upbringing. ቆንጆ ነሽ። እንዴት ነህ? So this is my childhood home, where I was born and raised, and where I lived here for 3 years while working on this film, actually. You know, when I was a kid, this was like my kingdom.
At the age of 10, Yared moved to the United States, which he describes as a sort of loss.
I remember very distinctly the day I left. You know, there was like this heaviness on this lump in my throat, and it was like beyond me. I just didn't understand, why am I leaving my grandmother? Why am I leaving my family? Why am I leaving my country and my home?
The Ethiopia Yared knew was a bustling place.
The marketplace is like part of my upbringing. I had to incorporate that in the story. It was like these street kids, and I used to watch like with kind of a fascination, and they were like just like rougher and tougher than even, you know, that little neighborhood I'm from. So I definitely I have very like deep memory of Mercato.
Yared's love of storytelling and his home country would lead him to study film at New York University.
Because I grew up in the U.S., people thinking Ethiopia is a desert, and well, I've never seen a desert here, and so it's like I'm going to show the world the Ethiopia that I knew and remember and live in. So we are in the countryside now, because this is very close to where my aunt's place is, and every weekend I would come out to see her. It was an open field like this, but it is my favorite place. Most of Ethiopia looks like this, and I think I just felt a need to do a story about the countryside and farm life because of this experience as a kid, coming out to these really beautiful fields.
When Yared came back to Ethiopia, some 20 years after he'd left, his beloved grandmother died, sparking in Yared an unshakable idea.
When she passed away, I think that's when I really started to think about the story and started to, of course, to write. It was a way of coping with my loss, and so I just came up with the story of a kid leaving his home.
And that story would premiere at the Cannes Film Festival.
It's like one of the top best moments of my life, of course, and you know, because it's not only, you know, about my career, but it's Ethiopia.
Coming up, we find out where Yared and the Ethiopian film industry at large are going next.